What is up, everybody? Welcome to Coffee and Crypto 2022, the first show of the year. And go figure, this is a day that we actually gave a lot of our staff off. Jebb went ahead and decided last night, you know what? He's going to take the day off. So it is me here hosting the show, the first one ever. And guess what? There's two different types of birthdays happening today. Of course, most of you guys know Bitcoin is celebrating its 13th birthday. So happy birthday, Bitcoin. But the other birthday or celebration is 1 year ago today. I was not on camera, but the 2021, January 3rd, was Tim's first day working for Jebb and Crypto Jebb and McAfee Media. You know, we vary what we call this company. But I'm excited. My 1 year anniversary here. I hope you guys are too, because this year is going to be a ridiculously great year. We thought last year was great. I think this next year is going to top it. But before I dive into everything else we're going to talk about, I do want to kind of show you guys what's happening in the room. Again, we're low in staff, but people are here. My co-host for today is Kelly Kellum. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
New year, bring it in. We got all these incredible metrics still showing that the bullish support is just ready at any point to snap and spring us up like we've been waiting for. It feels like for the entire year. But just like you said, I feel like we've got an incredible 2022 to start. We even started with the bullish engulfing candle and all kind of other stuff that we're going to be going into in here a second.
You know, my ears like feel naked. I'm seeing you guys. I don't have my
it's
my
different.
headphones today.
We do a little.
It's a different atmosphere. I have to hear your natural voice. I don't get to hear you over the microphone like everybody else. But we also, so Smay's out today, but our stand-in technical director is T Shroom. T Shroom, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Couldn't be better. Having an amazing time. Having an amazing morning. Happy birthday, Bitcoin.
Hey, come on. And the last person in the room, some of your guys' favorites, some of you guys don't even know he exists, but it is my brother Caleb sitting at what we call the research desk, but for today I think is the super chat and moderator desk. Caleb, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Going on 24 hours without eating, so I feel really focused, really locked in, and ready to get it. So let's do this.
Yeah, just in case you guys just joined in, Jebb is not here, but do not leave. It's still going to be a good show. You got myself. I'm going to be bringing down some TA. You got Kelly over here killing everything that's happening in the news. T Shroom is doing the technicals, but also will chime in. And I want to get Caleb talking today. It's a new year. You know, last year, Caleb was kind of quiet. It was kind of awkward, but today he's going to talk. So Jebb will be back tomorrow, so do not freak out. It's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about a lot of things. As I mentioned already, we have to talk about the birthday of Bitcoin because that is great. You know, we talked about it last year, a couple days ago, how it's died. How many times? Like 400 and something, 500 and something times.
Too many.
It's had more deaths than births, but, you know, it's still kicking. We're also going to be talking about what is, I think, massive, but we're going to discuss it, and that is that we are now sitting at an all-time high for hash rate on Bitcoin. We'll have a small discussion there. Definitely want to hear what you guys think about that, so be talking about that in chat, super chat it. We're going to try to get your guys' opinions in on the show. We're going to be doing Bitcoin TA, Ethereum TA like normal, but we got 4 altcoins we're going to be talking about today. The first one will be AAVE, then we got, what is it, Compound, Atom, and one of my favorites, Chiliz. But you want to stay tuned to make sure you don't miss a single thing. Before I jump in, anything else anyone want to say? Caleb, how about you? Anything you want to say before we jump into the info?
No, I mean, I'm good. I'm ready to get started.
How about this? We did actually get a little a while in yesterday. We all went and threw some axes at the board, and Tim was the clean sweep there, as if he'd been practicing his whole life. But yeah, we had a good time, and so hopefully we can throw the same with accuracy, the TA here, on what's going on with today's show.
You guys want to know something ridiculously tragic that just happened?
Oh no.
My mouse just died.
Uh-oh.
So this is going to be a fun day. I don't know why it decided to die, but it looks like I am going to the touchpad for the rest of the show until we get that fixed. But here we go. We're going to go ahead and jump in. Would that work? Yeah. Is it? Okay. Hey, real quick fix.
You can just start talking about
Meanwhile, we're going to talk a little bit about...
Let's go ahead and jump to our chart. I want to get up. The first one we're working on today is going to be, let's see here. Looking for my screen. AAVE? I think we're going to start with AAVE TA. 2 minutes of it. Nothing special, but I want to just kind of jump in and see. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't think I'll need that. I just... Oh, Schnapple. It's all right. I'm going to do
Pay no
the pad
attention
today.
to the man behind the curtain.
It is fine. It is fine. It is fine. All right. We are having way more technical difficulties. So just now, my screen froze.
Oh, no.
What the heck? It is not letting me affect my screen.
Just can you refresh the screen?
I can try. It's a good first show of the year. All right, this looks a little bit better. Let me see. Is my mouse? Nope, mouse is still not working. Yep, it's fun. This is fun. Sorry, guys, stay with us here. We are going to get through this. All right, here we go. You're on my screen already?
Yes.
T-Shroom. Let's start off on the daily chart. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with the weekly chart and just kind of update what's happening here. The first thing I noticed when I was doing the charting on this morning is that, oh gosh, this is going to be super fun. Oh my goodness. We are sitting in a falling wedge on AAVE on the weekly chart. So we have our top starting here, descending tops starting back on the 17th of May. But we have our lower bottom starting right here around June 21st. So that's something to keep in mind. We are in a falling wedge. What we do know, if those of you who have been through CT2A, that falling wedges end up breaking bullish. So this is a good thing, but we need to look at what's happening a little bit closer. I don't think this is going to work.
Bluetooth. Turn on your Bluetooth.
This is okay. Here we go. Live.
We got this.
My Bluetooth is on. It's just not showing me as an option.
Yeah, you would have had to have disconnected. Did you disconnect?
I just disconnected the other one. But I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going, and maybe in a time where Kelly's talking, we'll adjust. Thank you for staying with us, guys. All right, here we go. So jumping a little bit closer, let's dive to the daily chart and look a little bit closer at what's happening in AAVE. So the first thing, I said, we talked about already, we are in a falling wedge that we are currently sitting at the level of resistance. So the first thing, I'm gonna start right there. This is a bearish indicator. For anyone who's looking to make a trade in AAVE, this might not be the best time. We could theoretically break through that, but you do wanna hold on just a little bit before you go and make that move. Wait for some confirmation. Another reason why I don't think this is the right time to be getting into AAVE, and we need to look at the charts to see, is if you're looking at the RSI, you're gonna see clearly we have some RSI bearish divergence. Bearish divergence because while the oscillator tops keep moving up, the tops of the price are moving down. So this kind of flows in. I'm not going to go too much further into AAVE, but just those two things alone, the fact that we're sitting at the top of the resistance coming in a falling wedge, the fact that we have bearish RSI divergence, our MACD is starting to kind of dwindle, and we're moving a little bit closer towards a bearish cross. It does look like this is a good time to potentially hold off. Maybe you could even short AAVE because it's going to probably come back down and touch support one more time before what I think is going to happen is we're going to have a breakthrough. The other coin that we're going to look at this morning is ATOM. So ATOM is a little bit different. I'm going to kind of scroll out here so you guys can see. ATOM is different than AAVE in the sense of instead of a falling wedge, it actually looks like we're in a rising wedge or a rising trading channel. Either way, both of these are looking pretty nice for right now. This is something that's going to eventually probably be breaking bearish, but there's another formation inside that I want you to be focusing on, and that is this level right here, this flat top that we need to touch it one more time before I confirm that we're in this, but this would put us into an ascending triangle. What do ascending triangles do? They predominantly break to the upside. So, you know, some people might ask, I want to stop and educate before anyone freaks out in chat and says, Tim, how do you know it's an ascending wedge, or sorry, ascending triangle? That's not a perfect top. You got to remember that in TA, lines are not perfect. We actually want to look for levels of zones. So while technically we have some wicks and slight candles breaking through here, this level or this zone is pretty confident. So this would be a double tap or a double, not double bottom, double top. Double tops can sometimes cause a price reversal. But as you guys can see, we continuously are setting higher lows, and it looks like we're heading back for that level one more time. What I'm looking for in ATOM, just so you guys know, I probably am going to expect one more bounce off of this line, off of this flat level of resistance, come back down, set a new higher low, then we'll rally, break through it, and we'll continue into a longer time frame. Rising wedge. Eventually over here, let's see, somewhere closer to August is potentially when I think we might have a bearish break. But overall, ATOM, for anyone who is interested, is looking like it is in a great spot for a great buy. Before we move on, Kelly, what are your thoughts on all of that? Because I know you did some TA on ATOM and AAVE this morning as well.
I think you're right on. I think one of the things I think people get a little paralyzed when they, especially when you first start with doing TA, you learn about what a double top is, and when you see something, you know, have two tops or two touches on a line of resistance, it's like it's a top, it's the end of this trend, it's reversing. Well, sometimes it doesn't mean it's going to be a macro trend reversal. In this case, it just reversed in the short term, came down, found new support, and you know it wasn't a macro trend reversal because the new support it found was essentially still a higher low. And so when you're still having higher lows within a trend, much like with Bitcoin right now, and everybody's saying we were going into the bear market, well, first you have to break structure. And when you're having a small double top like that, and it only, basically allows the uptrend to continue going, then you look for the next pattern. And once we get the third touch, if we don't just break through it, then we'll be an ascending wedge. Ascending triangle.
Yeah.
And I think it's spot on. We're everything's setting up across the board here for a bullish 2022, baby.
Yeah, go back to my chart real quick, T-Shroom. The last thing I was going to show you on that, just to cover Atom, look at perfectly. We're not quite yet in a state where I would call this bearish RSI divergence, but if you scroll all the way back here to where we last touched this resistance back on the 27th of October, you're seeing that we are setting up kind of nicely. Our price is lower, but the RSI is higher. I don't think it's time to say, oh, it's going to reverse right here. I think it's going to go ahead and touch that red line right here before it reverses. But you want to keep that in mind for anyone who's trading Atom. I don't think there's a lot of upside left before there's going to be a correction, but that's completely up to you and what you want to do with your trade. So that is all I have for those two coins. We're going to be later on the show doing comp and chilies, so stay tuned. But before I jump into Bitcoin, I want to start with something that I really, really want every single one of you to take away from this show. By the way, miracle, my mouse started working again. I have no idea why, but that is phenomenal for me, phenomenal for you, phenomenal for the charts. But when you're looking at this show, anyone who's watched all of 2021, anyone who's going to be watching 2022, if you're new, thank you so much for being here. Consider hitting that subscribe button because this is going to be a great show this year. The organization has come such a long way. Let me know in chat if you were watching earlier 2021 versus you're watching now. Let the chat know how much better this show has gotten. But what I want you guys to realize is I don't want you coming to this show, whether I'm sitting in this seat or Jebb sitting in this seat, or some days maybe Kelly or T-Shroom or somebody else might be sitting in this seat. I do not want you coming to this show just to say, what does Jebb think? What does Tim think? What does Kelly think? And I'm just going to blindly follow them. If that's your takeaway, I guarantee you're going to make mistakes and you're going to get frustrated. I hope that every single time you come to this show, you're saying, I want to hear what Jebb and Tim and Kelly and T-Shroom think, because I want to hear why they think that way so that I can then go do my own homework to make my own trades in an effective way. I've been overwhelmed by these commercials that I'm getting over and over again, whether I think I've seen ones from different trade, I can't even remember the name of the companies, but different trading companies that they set up the whole commercial and they have these actors who are very frustrated, who are not making trades very well. And it pretty much says, hey, stop trying. Let us trade for you. Let us invest for you. Pretty much sit back and let us do the work.
It's eToro.
Is it eToro?
Yep.
Yeah.
I cannot disagree with that commercial anymore. And the reason why is because I promise you, if you just let everyone else do your thinking and trading for you, you will not benefit. And you'll only sometimes make money. My parents, even for example, who have a financial advisor, who have a trader for them, when they went to him and they said, we want to invest in this stock, because my parents aren't really in crypto yet, they want to, but they were actually telling me, we want to get out of this stock and get into this one as well. He pretty much, even though it's their money, told them, no, I know what I'm doing. And what ended up happening was that stock ended up going down. The stock they wanted to go in went up. And in that case, my dad actually knew better than the investor for him. I am a strong believer. Listen, I'm not saying there's never a reason to ever have professional help and to get some of that, especially when it comes to tax stuff. Like if you need help with taxes, for sure, go find a professional. But when it comes to investing, I'm a big believer in you do that work yourself. You think for yourself. Find people who won't tell you what to think. Find people who will tell you how to think and will lead you in the right direction for your own profitability, because there's no one who cares more about your money and your profits than you. Keep that in your mind.
Can I say one comment on that? I keep thinking I'm muted because my thing's down.
No, you're good. You're on.
Oh, the thing I wanted to say is, one of the things is if you're following any YouTubers, and believe me, I still follow quite a few. And when I started, I watched I don't know how many hours of YouTube crypto stuff a day, as well as trying to learn different trading mechanics and TA and all these things. But when you're watching a YouTuber or any financial anybody in this regard that you're learning from, if we make a call or we're suggesting a call to be made, that very well could be very accurate. But the thing is, you're not with us 24 hours a day, and very, very often I will see a play, a structure forming on the charts, and stuff happens all the time, whether it be in the news media, whether it be with the massive whale buy or sell or whatever. And then every plan that you had, it's like playing football. I mean, I'm sure Caleb can speak to this as well. You know, when you have a play set up and then all of a sudden you have a blitzing offense and you have to restructure your entire, you know, offensive defense of the line there, because you have to be able to be very fluid and adjust at a moment's notice. So definitely learn from the different calls and the suggestions and the directions of price action that we're going to go. But if you don't really understand what's behind it, then you're not going to be able to make that move in a moment's notice to protect your assets or to make the best trade. So that's really what it's
absolutely.
all about.
Before I move into Bitcoin TA though, because that's where we're going to go, and there's a lot of good stuff there, even though it's not going to look at first like we have some good technicals, but there's some really important things we want to look at there. Caleb, I don't think there's any super chats that I've seen just yet, but let me know like what's happening in chat right now. Are there any good questions that have been asked even in the normal chat?
We just got one super chat from Elliot Locke. Said, y'all are killing it. LOL. Great TA. Fundamentals and comedy are wrapped in one. Love y'all. Oh, and hit the like button.
Yeah, everybody smash that like button, hit the subscribe. It really, if anything else, we love to come to you with the free content daily basis. And it's such an easy way. We don't it's not an ego thing. We don't care if there's like buttons or dislikes, or it really helps support the channel and keep us being able to come back and make sure that we can bring this content to as many people as possible.
Absolutely. And I think Jebb talked about this last year, you know, really. He talked about how we started last year with, I think, like 55 or 60K subs, right? We grew over 200,000. This year, just so you guys know, we have a goal of hitting closer to 500 to 700,000 subs. We want you to be a part of it, because that's another special thing about this channel, is it's not the Jebb show, the Tim show, the Kelly show. This is a community that we are building. We want to build that. We have a community base, a community team. You guys can see, I think everyone can see like green names. Those are people who are members, YouTube members of the channel, because they love what we're doing and they love to interact with each other. That's the type of team we're trying to build here. That's how we found Kelly. The only reason Kelly is here sitting on the show today is because we love to interact with you guys and get to know you guys. And we got to know Kelly that way. And now I can't imagine this show or this company without him. Who knows how many other people will be like that. So please hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the share button, share this with your friends. Without anything else though, we're gonna go and jump into Bitcoin TA, because I know a lot of you are super excited. Quick update, we just dropped below 47,000. So before anyone freaks out, we'll talk about why that probably is. But I do wanna start by, you can go to my screen now. I don't know if you're already on it, T-Shroom. We're gonna start with the monthly chart. And this is something that's really not talked about quite frequently, but it's really important to keep in mind a very big outlook of what is happening. And of the altcoins, of the coins that I look at, Bitcoin is probably one of the few that I would actually use the monthly chart to say, you know what, this is a great indication of something coming. When you look at a couple others, I think Ethereum could make an argument that Ethereum, maybe even Litecoin, it's been around for a little bit longer. Monthly charts help a lot. Some of these smaller altcoins, monthly charts probably aren't going to do that much, because it's giving you a way bigger time frame than the coin probably has even been around. But on Bitcoin, I do like to look at the monthly chart from time to time. By the way, you guys are going to notice Jebb hates the way I do this. I don't always stick to auto. I sometimes like to go off of it and play with it myself. And without doing that, you wouldn't be able to see what I'm trying to show you. And that is that we are sitting in a massive bull pennant on the monthly chart. Is this magical? No. Could things go bearish? Absolutely. But it is something to keep in mind that right now we had a massive flagpole, and now we have a pennant forming on the monthly chart. So this is something we want to keep our eye on before we freak out about any time we go down. Because look at all this wiggle room in here. And I know it looks small to you guys. I'm going to try to zoom in. There's a lot of volatility room in here before we'd have to freak out. And that's a part of what we want to do on this channel, is help you guys understand that just because price sometimes moves down doesn't make it bearish in the long run. And sometimes just because the price moved up doesn't make it bullish. There's a lot of times we got to look at the price from a bigger angle to analyze what is actually happening in the future, and to help people understand, hey, should you be in this right now, or should you be taking profits? That being said, let's go down to the daily chart and get a little bit more interesting with what we see happening here. I'm going to switch over to my Coinbase chart, because that's the one that I've been using recently, so I had a little more work done on it. But the first thing that I want to point out to you guys is we're going to look at the MACD and see what is happening here. I'm going to blow it up for you guys, get a little bit bigger picture. We're kind of sitting here in a weird spot where the MACD is kind of, it acted like it wanted to cross bearish, and now it's kind of moving alongside the red. But what we see here, let's see, this is a note that Kelly put here, is we have a very slow bullish expansion again. We're actually priming up right now with the MACD to potentially go back bullish. So instead of crossing bearish over the blue line, crossing the red line, we're moving alongside of it, preparing to actually expand back up and to create more green histograms right here on the MACD. Before I keep going, Kelly, do you have anything you want to add to that note about the MACD?
Absolutely. So this speaks perfectly to what we just mentioned earlier about how fast the charts change. When the charts change is that when I was putting the notes together, I start around 6:30 in the morning all the way until about 8:30, and at that point it was there was a darker green histogram that had printed, and so that's why I was saying it was slow expansion. But things change at a drop of a hat, and so now. But at the end of the day, we don't need to go into it on the charts. But for you, those of you at home, if you pull up your 2-hour Bitcoin chart and look at the Bollinger Bands, at the end of the day, we're ranging perfectly within that thing. It's just very, very tight volatility within that, but we're just bouncing between the upper and lower bands, so there's nothing to fret about yet. We're still just washing out as much as we can because there's so much upside potential that's coming this year. So just be patient.
Yeah, on my screen I'm showing what he was talking about. We're very much, you're going to see the bands really kind of came down and constricted. Not a lot of volatility happening right now, but what happens when those bands constrict and they keep us being volatile? It's prepping for a breakout, and there's a lot of reasons to think that breakout's going to be to the upside.
Are you still on the 2-hour chart?
I'm on the 2-hour chart right now,
Look right at December 22nd, that time frame. Look how tight that constriction is. It's similar to now, and then look at the movement that came out of that.
Yep, he's talking about, so I'm going to scroll to where you guys can see it very clearly. He's talking about right in here, right in this area, we were fat. Oh, see, actually, no, he's talking about this one right here. Fat, we were skinny, then fat, got skinny again, broadened out. That's what happens if you guys are taking CT2A, or if you've taken any course or you've learned anything about technical analysis. You're finding that when you're looking at constricting Bollinger Bands, they are telling a story of there's going to be some volatility coming very, very soon, because this is kind of a tussle between the bears and the bulls before an explosion. But let's go back out to the daily chart. Let's look at a couple other things. And, so I'm going to pull the Bollinger Bands back down, and let's go back to the RSI for a second, because I do want to talk about that real quickly. We did reverse the last couple of days. Let's see. Back on the 27th of December, we were rejected off of the 50 on the RSI. This isn't major. This isn't anything crazy, but it is something to keep in mind when you're doing RSI. These levels 70, 50, and 30 are super important, because here's a small education moment. The 70, anytime we get over the 70, there's not a guarantee we have to reverse, but we're starting to get to a place where we're a little bit overbought. So anytime you see the RSI go that high, you're probably looking for a reversal sometime soon. As you can see over here, we went through it and stayed there for a couple of days, but overwhelmingly we usually see reversals. The flip side, though, on the 30, usually when we get below the 30, we're kind of saying we're oversold. We're probably looking for a reversal to the upside. 50 is a key spot between the two of them that you're going to see is going to be really crucial to the RSI's action. As you guys can see here, sometimes we use it as support to bounce off. Sometimes we use it as resistance, as we've been doing the last couple of days. What I am looking for bullish action from Bitcoin is to see a bullish breakthrough past that 50 and start heading back towards that 70. That is something I want to see coming in very soon. But for right now, keep in mind, we're on the bottom side of this, which puts us into a little bit more overbought than oversold, which for me right now, when we go look at these on-chain metrics that we're talking about here in a couple of minutes, you're going to see there's a good reason for why this is probably a very good time to be buying Bitcoin, but that's for you to decide. Let's look at a couple other things. So we already showed you the Bollinger Bands on the 2-hourly, but let's look at the Bollinger Bands right now on the daily chart. Nothing really crazy happening, but you can see that wick is getting really close. We touched the wick right here and bounced off the 20 daily SMA, and that's what we're kind of doing right now. We're kind of playing between the bottom of the Bollinger Bands and that 20. This is something I want to see reversed. I want to see us eventually break through that 20 and continue to the upside. And right now on the daily chart, you're not going to see a lot of volatility open right now, but as we showed you before, as we start moving down and we go look at the 12-hourly, that's actually pretty fat too as well. 8-hourly, you're seeing a heavy constriction. 4-hourly, you're going to see where we've been in a channel. 2-hourly, as we already discussed, we're really, really constricted. I'm looking very soon for a breakout happening there. I don't think, though, that we're necessarily going to see it within the next couple of days, and I'm going to explain to you why, or sorry, next couple of hours, because I think that we actually have a little bit more room to go down. As you guys can see, the price is sitting at 46,856. Go back out to the 4-hourly chart so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. We have been in a trading channel for the last, let's see, ever since the early December, so right at a month right now. We have been moving sideways between this trading channel. Our resistance sitting right here at 51, 52-ish, and the bottom going as far as 45. This wick that went down to 42 is important. We'll talk about that a little bit. But for right now, overwhelmingly, the candle bodies seem to always want to close in this region of 45 to 52. Why is this important? As you guys know, I have talked heavily about the Wyckoff accumulation phase, which I completely still think we are in. And I think that there's actually a massive breakout coming very soon. But what is stopping us from getting there right now is what we are looking at on the volume. I love what the price is doing. It looked like, and this is why we had a fake out last week, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago because it was on the 20th. Look at how the volume was every single time we dipped. We have high volume right here on this massive wick. We come back down and touch right here, the volume spiked. We come down and touch right here. The volume was a little bit lower, but we still had a good spike. Look at how low the volume was right here back on the 20th of December. This was a case to say this might have been a spring. Why was it a spring? Because what had happened this whole time is the market was being shook out. And the lower we can get this price with low volume tells all of the institutional investors, hey, there's not a lot of price happening here. There's not a lot of supply left for us to shake out anymore. It's time for us to go. Sure enough, we rallied all the way up back up to the top of the channel, but I told you guys we need to see a confirmational break above 52, closer to 53 or 54. I thought it was going to happen, but look at what the volume looks like. It never got there. Our price definitely never got there, but the volume never confirmed either. What we're looking for, just so you guys know, on the volume to know that we're about to have a breakout is not only the price getting above 53, but the volume confirming it. The problem right here was we had a massive candle body where I think a lot of people entered long trades. Why? Because for the first time in a couple of days, we finally had a good breakout of price. It looked like there was hope on the horizon. People might even have looked at this little dip right here and said, okay, that's low volume comparatively to what we had over the last couple dips. This is a great time to enter my trade. What they didn't do is wait for the confirmation above 53 with high volume. Because of that, the institution said, you know what? There's still more supply than we thought. We thought we were done right here, but it turns out there's a lot more than we thought was there originally. So this ended up becoming a bull trap and we came back down. The reason why I don't think we're done touching the bottom is because look at these bottoms right here. Look at this volume. What did we talk about back here? I want to see the price come down and touch these levels, maybe even go a little bit below it, which happens quite often in a spring. But the flip side is the volume is going to be low. This is what you guys are looking for. So for right now, despite all the things we're looking at with the RSI, the MACD, everything else, I want you guys to be watching, and this is up to you, up to how you want to think about it. But what I would tell you would be a great indicator of the price is ready is let us come back down to this level, maybe even come a little bit below it and watch the volume stay low. I'm loving what I'm seeing right here with this low volume because this means that there's a lot of, there's really not much action happening. And things like this can oftentimes bring us some bearish action down to a little bit lower before we see that spring. I know that was a lot I threw at you, but I hope that made sense. Kelly, I'm gonna ask you real quick, did that make sense to you? Or is there anything that you think I left out in that explanation?
I think it made perfect sense. I think it's also important to consider, you know, we have to pay attention to the leveraged market, the derivatives. And so some of those spots that you pointed out where you had massive candles on the 4 hourly or on the daily, some of those were, you know, some leverage calls getting short squeeze or long squeeze. But the point is here at the end of the day, volume is one of the most simple indicators you can have, but is absolutely one of the most icing on the cake indicators you can use because we use so many different things from the Bollinger Bands and MACD. Even if you use Market Cipher or Lux Algo or whatever it is, one of the final indicators I use to look at are all these confirmations coming in, do they really make sense? Does it really tie together? If volume's not there, then no. Or if volume's absent in some cases like this, when you're looking at, you know, basically exhausting supply, there's no volume, but the price still isn't dropping. Then, you know, once then you break past the support and you have massive volume, once you break past resistance and you have massive volume, then that's your indicator that okay, this is the right trade to be into, and you can also strengthen position. So don't overlook volume. Do not overlook it.
The last thing I'm going to do before we kind of jump on some on-chain metrics, just so you guys can see here on the 4 hourly chart, we did have some bearish RSI divergence. Another reason to think that we're probably going to be going down again. As you guys can see, our peak right here, this green candle. Let me zoom in for you guys just a little bit so you guys can see it a little more clearly. That peak right there was met with it was a peak of our RSI, but we actually go way higher on the RSI. Not way, I'm exaggerating there. We went higher on the RSI, whereas the price of the candle bodies did not get as high. This is bearish RSI divergence. I do expect us to come back down and test these levels. And like I said, I would love for this blue line, as you guys can see here, this volume, it kind of just shows the overall trend of volume. I would love for that to keep going down, keep these small volume bars, come down, touch this blue line again for a spring, which communicates again that the supply has kind of been used up. There's not a lot of people wanting to trade around those regions, and then we're going to see an explosion in the price. So,
in addition to that, too, similarly with volume, one of the things we want to look at with the RSI is not only the divergences, but also we want to see the RSI get healthily with volume above the 50 line.
Yep.
And then in some ways retest, when there's a little bit of a pullback in the market after we have a big pump, make sure that RSI also finds support on that 50 line and stays in the bullish side of the relative strength of the market, which is what the RSI is. Don't look at it so much like we're getting oversold when we're getting up there. No, it's like we're getting strong. We're having a lot of strength in the market. And then we, hopefully we can push it up into the 70s, 80s, 90s and hold it there for the rest of the year. Let's have a good year.
Well, let's transition. Let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin dominance. And I'm going to start with we didn't look at the market this morning, but I want to show you right here. Hopefully they can see it pretty clearly, T-Shroom. Here, the Bitcoin dominance is at 39.5%. This is down. We were kind of hovering in the 40 to 41% region. However, there is some on-chain metrics that we want to look at that kind of tell us this number could be rising over the next couple of days or weeks or months. And there's a tweet by Kelly this morning that kind of talks about this. So Kelly, can you run us through what is this tweet and this picture showing, and why should we be expecting a massive rise in dominance from Bitcoin?
Well, first things first, we can't necessarily full on expect the rise in dominance, but I will say, because we're basically, having our third bounce right now on this, which has turned out to be fairly strong support for the Bitcoin dominance. If Bitcoin does bounce from here and we go back, start increasing in our market dominance for within Bitcoin, that will take some of the steam out of the rest of the market, the altcoin market, the different, all the other coins. However, that doesn't necessarily mean, I want people to know, when Bitcoin rises and the market dominance rises with Bitcoin, that doesn't mean that alts won't rise also. It just means that Bitcoin is going to outpace the rising of those altcoins. And some very well could rise faster than Bitcoin. Some might rise slower, but the altcoins as an index will be losing their growth dominance as opposed to Bitcoin. So this is something very big to watch, especially with people that do arbitrage between different coins. If you're buying this altcoin and then once that sort of peaked, you take profits and then move it over to Bitcoin. And that's one of the reasons why, if you're watching the market as a whole, you'll notice sometimes that Bitcoin is running and it's leading the entire market, and then Bitcoin will take a little bit of a breather, and then all of a sudden you have a massive altcoin season. So I wouldn't say, don't take this as something that should be detrimental to your planning if you are an altcoin person, but just be very aware of this, because the other case here is if we do fall through that support line, then that also could mean that we could have a fairly large alt season happening. But there's just a lot of things on the horizon right now.
Well, while we're on that topic, I'm going to kind of open this up to both you and T-Shroom, Kelly. And Caleb, if you have any thoughts, please chime in. But what could make that possible is when, in all reality, in the vast chances of what could have happened with institutions, I think there was actually really low institutional adoption and investments. If that flows into Bitcoin, which in my opinion, I actually think high institutional investments, meaning very rich companies who want to invest in crypto and get their assets diversified, I see that going way more into Bitcoin than anything else. Is that something you agree with or disagree with? And would that not be the sign of what would help bring dominance back into Bitcoin? What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't even listening.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking to T-Shroom.
Well, T-Shroom, do you have any thoughts?
I was checking in with chat.
Could you summarize the statement again?
I kind of wrapped it up poorly. So right now, the reason why dominance is kind of falling, I'm going to re-say this, is I think there's a lot of retail investing into altcoins because they see the potential for bigger gains. It's going to be a lot easier, or you're going to be a lot more gains raising. If I raise the market cap of a smaller altcoin by $5 million, that's a much bigger increase than raising Bitcoin by $5 million, right? So a lot of retail investors are going after the smaller ones. But when it comes to institutions, I see institutions going way more after Bitcoin than others. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. However, I think that what plays into that, or even maybe just strengthens that point of view, is the fact that with the nonstop repeating China bans that have happened throughout, I think we talked about it on the last stream as well. I was looking at some sell pressure based on different regions of the world, and the Asian market, the European market, and the American market.
Yeah.
And from about the middle, it was about, I think, the 18th of December, leading up to the December 21st, I think is when we had the massive drop in price. So basically that through just December 31st was when Chinese crypto holders had to basically divest themselves of their crypto holdings by law. So there was a lot of Asian sell pressure on Bitcoin, which would also lead to a drop in Bitcoin dominance. But now that has eclipsed, now we're on the 3rd of January. The other thing to be considerate of, though, is there's still tax harvesting going on. A lot of people think tax harvesting finished on December 31st. Well, the fiscal year ends on the 31st, but the way we pay our taxes and stuff, so people harvesting money from their gains to pay their taxes is basically, that's actually what tax harvesting is. There are people that we're selling to lock in whether it be losses or basically reduce their capital gains before December 31st, but the actual harvesting stuff could still go on within Bitcoin and the entire crypto market for another, I would say month and a half or two into when the traditional taxes come. But I think a big part of the selling pressure is now going to start to evaporate now that the China thing is wrapped up.
Yeah, Tishan, do you have any thoughts before I go back to the news?
Yeah, my answer would be, look, folks want to make as much money as they can. And I think that the further we go down the road of crypto becoming popular, you see things like crypto.com now getting plastered on formerly known as Staples Arena. The marketing is starting to ramp up, and any new crypto project knows you have to spend a lot on marketing. So I think that while the mainstream media will continue to cover Bitcoin as a headline, and that will be, that'll be good for Bitcoin, the coin. It also kind of trickles in. So, the way that the funnel works is you see a mainstream advertisement for Bitcoin, right? You go onto the internet, or you ask your nephew, or you ask, somebody in your circle about, hey, this whole Bitcoin thing. Then you start to trust it because you start to see, okay, there's a lot of people that are in this. Mark Cuban, all these different, Elon Musk, all these different people that I like, that I know, and that I trust. And then you start doing a little more research to actually buy it. You see, okay, do I get Coinbase? Do I get Binance US? Do I get this other thing? And and then usually they conclude, okay, you use Coinbase. And then by that point, you've probably consumed some YouTube content where you've started to get exposed to altcoins. And at that point, then it comes down to, are you less risk tolerance or more risk tolerance? And so as we go forward in time, you have to make that assessment. Are the types of people who are coming to crypto for the first time more risk tolerant or less risk tolerant? And I think that that's just one of many, many aspects of why Bitcoin is kind of at a low point in its dominance. Is that dominance metric? This is kind of a lower level question. Is that a market cap, or is that a volume per day metric?
No, it's the metric is basically if you take the market cap of Bitcoin as compared to the entire altcoin market, it's what percentage of the entire crypto market is Bitcoin.
I mean, it's simple here. Just your market cap. You can go on my screen. I don't know if you're already on it, but right now Bitcoin is sitting a little bit below 900 billion, 888 billion. You got Ethereum coming in behind it, 454. So it's about half. So that means right now, let's just round up and say Bitcoin has 40. That means that Ethereum has 20, which means there's only, between all the thousands of altcoins, there's only 40% dominance. And the third one, Binance, isn't anywhere close to it. It's at 88. So it's, we have Ethereum half of Bitcoin, but the third place isn't even anywhere close to half of, it's like not even a fourth of Ethereum. So, right now, I do believe those are the two top dogs. And Kelly and I were watching a video the other day, very interesting, about the concept of why do we even compare? When we talk about Ethereum and Bitcoin flipping, there actually is probably going to be a time where Ethereum flips Bitcoin in market cap, and then Bitcoin flips it back, and they're going to keep going. Because in the same way, there are times where you want to buy a car, and there's times where you want to buy a phone. When do we ever compare a phone company and a car company? Sometimes cars might be making more money and get a higher market cap than the phone business, and other times it's going to flip. This is what I'm kind of getting into. I think that and this is the last point I'm going to make, I think that retail investors, what T-Stream was talking about, have a desire to have a high risk tolerance. They want that big gain, but when they get that loss, they freak out, right? So it's a lot easier for them to go after the small altcoins. I think institutional investors, they see the writing on the wall. I think they're going to invest in Ethereum. I think they're going to invest in things like Cardano and Solana and these other things as well. But I think that they see that massive asset of Bitcoin, that digital gold. Yeah. If you guys are wondering about digital gold, go watch that video that we posted last Friday afternoon called Why Bitcoin. It's episode 1. We're going to be breaking down in the next 6 weeks, I think, why Bitcoin is so powerful. Yeah. But I think institutions have that patience that, yeah, maybe they'll only every year, and when you think about it, this is ridiculous, maybe they'll only make 50% gain every single year rather than these altcoins that could make 1,000% gain. But they understand longevity-wise, Bitcoin is going to make them the best money and set them up to continue to have power.
Yeah, and if we have time on this section.
Yeah, well, I think we got to move on to news, but yeah, we could definitely come back to that because this is the news we want to break into is I think another reason why we should be very optimistic about the price of Bitcoin coming forward, but we're going to have a discussion because I think there might even be some differences of opinions, not only in this room, but definitely everywhere, and that is the news about this hash rate hitting us. And the truth is I don't even necessarily need to read this other than the fact that we have hit an all-time high for Bitcoin hash rate. And here comes the question. Does price follow hash rate? Does hash rate follow price? I definitely hope not because we really haven't had too much upside in price in the last month, despite the fact that the hash rate is growing up. But I want to first throw this to the floor to Kelly and T-Shroom, hear what you have to say. But in my opinion, I think that this potentially is a season where we're going to see the price follow the hash rate. I do expect over the next couple of weeks to see massive bullish prices in Bitcoin following the fact that we just hit all-time high in the hash rate. But Kelly, I want to hear what you have to say about it, especially in light, you just already talked about China. And the fact that China was the original reason why the hash rate went down. We're now kind of getting past that. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think, I think that the hash rate tended to, at least previously, follow the price in the essence that as price was going up, it was a lot more attractive to miners to get on the network and, be more competitive, make money mining. But I think one of the most important things to consider here is we talk about this a lot on this channel that, one of the things that brought a lot of people initially and hopefully still to crypto and especially Bitcoin is the decentralized nature of it. And the lower hash you have, AKA the fewer miners you have processing transactions, mining, that means you actually are less secure network as well. You have it's easier to achieve a 51% attack. It's less decentralized. So when you have a higher hash rate, you're having a lot more miners, you're having a lot more security on the network as well. But what I'm seeing now is the same thing, and I apologize to anybody in the chat now or anybody that's watching other YouTubers and they're like, why are these people so bullish? This is not a super bull market. Well, what we're doing is I guarantee you and I promise you, we are not trying to pump the market. We're not trying to pump our bags. The only thing I'm doing when I'm doing TA in the morning is I'm looking at on-chain metrics that are screaming bullish. It's kind of like you're looking at water piling up behind a dam. You're just flooding the areas around it and you see a small crack in the dam and then at some point that dam's going to break. And so this is what's happening. And with the hash rate, what's interesting to me now is that we're having all these new the mining companies around the world that are just getting hundreds of thousands of miners. The hash rate is going up incredibly, and the price isn't exploding yet. What that says to me is people are willing to make a massive investment because these people, the big money, the smart institutions that are putting hundreds of millions of dollars behind mining power, they see where this is going. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making the investment to have this, to expand on the mining capacity. Therefore, the hash rate wouldn't be going up. The hash rate's going up and the price is standing still. The dam is about to break and it's going to be just money flowing upstream.
Well, because if the price of Bitcoin is not doing that well, what would be the motivation for miners to be working so hard? What would be the motivation for them to raise that hash rate? We got a lot of miners right now. Again, it's not just that we went back to previous all-time high back when we had miners in China doing everything they were doing. We have exceeded that hash rate.
Yeah.
Meaning there, and every, just so you guys know, with the halving cycle, this isn't breaking the news for a lot of you guys, but with all the halvings that we have, it only becomes less profitable to mine over time. But yet we're upticking in it. There's still a lot of money to be made. I know the chat, people are saying, why are these guys moon boys? Why are these guys in a season where the price on-chain metrics and TA is lining up for bullish, we're gonna be bullish. Just because price moves downward, as we talked about a little earlier in the show, downward price happens in bull markets. That shouldn't stop you from talking bullish. In the same breath, when we're in a bear market, just because there's a good green day, we're not gonna be overly optimistic and telling you it's the time to invest. We're gonna tell you, hey, watch out. The price is going down over the next couple of days. But hash rate wise, T-Shroom, I almost said Smay. T-Shroom, I wanna hear what you think about the hash rate with what's happening right now.
I just want to do one for the noobs really quick. So anybody watching doesn't know what hash rates are. Hash rates refer to the amount of computational power used by miners dedicated to the mining of new Bitcoins and verification of new transactions on the Bitcoin network. So the Bitcoin network, right? And I almost think about this as like, when you buy a computer, you look at the amount of RAM. So you can get like a 8 gig, a 16 gig, or 32 gig RAM. So the hash rate is essentially how many more gigs there are being allotted toward doing processes on the Bitcoin network, whether it's transactions or mining. And so, it's not people choosing to mine. It's new units of computational power being added to the Bitcoin network. I think that this is an excellent metric to kind of look into the future of what the Bitcoin price could be. I think if I'm a miner, I would. There's very few things that would motivate me to stop mining. I would want to just accumulate as much of this new cryptocurrency as I possibly can, no matter what, because the price could go up. Just the simple possibility of that. And, as long as I am, not spending if I'm not outspending on energy, then, it would be in my favor. Do you guys know why someone would choose to turn off their rigs?
Turn off their rigs if they're not profitable.
Yeah,
if they're not making money. And that it goes back to gold. So why do we call Bitcoin the new gold? Here's another thing. Let's go back to gold mining. Gold miners, when the price of gold was high, were very motivated to go dig gold, make it, and then go sell it immediately because they're like, this is a great place for me to make money. During seasons where the price of gold was low, it incentivized those miners. First of all, they did a little less digging, but second of all, everything they dug, they held on to because they said, listen, in a couple of months, a couple of years, this is going to be very beneficial for me to hold. This increase in hash rating for Bitcoin, and I don't know if we even see it, but Kelly, could you try to find and then send it to me what it looks like right now with the holding ratio of miners is, because that's another thing that I've seen over and over again. I've only been in crypto for a year and some change, but you watch phases where the miners are selling in high numbers, and sure enough, it's followed by the price going down. And you see numbers where they're holding very, very tightly. They're not releasing it. Like, for example, back in July, right there before that spring that we had in price action around $30,000, miners were not selling. Everyone kept screaming, we're going down to 25, we're going to 20, we're going to 18. The miners were like, nah, I'm going to hold my Bitcoin. And sure enough, we shot up into the 50s. Same thing I'm having here, this increase in hash rate. And again, I haven't seen it, but I'm going to assume we're going to see a high rate of miners holding. I think that they know things. They understand right now, if I actually want to be a profitable miner and I want to make money, the best thing for me to do is actually go ahead and not sell right now, hold as much as I can, wait for that price to rise before I liquidate.
If you go on our show prep document at the very bottom, there's a
you can go off my
chart
screen,
there.
T-Shroom.
It's
Yeah.
for those of you that also want to know, like an easy spot, if you don't have a membership somewhere for on-chain, you can get really great charts on checkonchain.com, which is exactly where, and we're not affiliated with them, or it's just a great free tool for you guys to check out some stuff. But this shows, if you pull up that chart.
Yeah, okay, so you can go back to my screen now. I'm gonna let Kelly explain because I'm trying to read it to even understand what's happening.
Hold on, we lost your screen. So
you lost my screen?
Yeah, let's see what's going on.
That's my computer's great.
I'll just do what I did.
I think what I need to know whenever I have to lead, we'll just have to go ahead and use Jebb's computer.
Try to unplug it, plug it back in.
But as he's doing that, I'll just let you guys know. I'm even looking at the chart right now, and it just as Tim was saying.
There we go, got it.
The net holding or the net hodling is quite a bit outweighs the spending. Yeah. So and that's a great sort of metric. It's just like whales holding. It's a very, very parallel sort of metric when big money is holding, when big wallets are holding Bitcoin when there's a huge dip. That gives a lot of confidence that this isn't going to be the end of days scenario. So you want to spend your money and hold your money like the smart money does, and miners are a case in point in that they're mining and accumulating all this Bitcoin as throughout the entire cycle, and they're trying to wait in time when they can sell one to cover costs periodically, but they're going to do it when the price is right. And right now they would be spending if they thought the price was going to go down, so they wouldn't miss lose out on revenue because they're holding large in part than overspending. It's a great metric to show, and it just goes back with the hash rate. It goes back with all the on-chain with the MVRV and the new pool. Everything is just screams bullish. So I'm not bullish, and none of us here at the channel are bullish. We are mere messengers from all the data that we're seeing that says the market is bullish. It's just being a little bit, as Smay calls it, turtle market. It's a little slow right now.
Yeah, you can go off my screen. Anything else you got on that one, T-Shroom? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say, we're obviously leading with this headline that the hash rate's at an all-time high. It is overall a great thing that is occurring. It means that in the future, people who have invested in these expensive computational hardwares known as Bitcoin mining rigs, those people that own those things think that the price will be higher in the future, and they should keep burning energy to earn those coins in the future. I think that if you had to identify a flaw in this metric, it's that you're depending on what's baked into the metric is the rational decision making of those miners could be wrong. It's not like they are right because they're doing this. It's just they could be wrong. But if we're all working in unison, it's a lower chance probability that they're wrong.
But then the last thing to add to that is as we get more and more and more and more and more millions of people, as we saw in the last day of the year show we did on Friday, some days, many days during the year, at the beginning of the last year, we're having over 500,000 new addresses a day. So when we're getting that many more people and big money coming in, the fact that security is a preeminent issue right now to ensure, and the higher the hash rate, the more secure the network is. So it's good in all aspects of the stuff. And I don't know, did we even say it yet? Today was the 13th birthday.
Yeah, in the beginning of the show we talked about today's the 13th anniversary of Bitcoin.
Today was the first block. The first block was printed on today.
Generation
13 years ago. It's crazy. But I think we got to jump into Ethereum.
So we're going to jump into Ethereum. I know we're kind of moving off the map of this show and I'm sure we're going to talk about this a little bit more, because what I want you guys to do is ask questions in chat, add super chats. But that being said, before we jump into Ethereum, let's read a couple super chats, answer some questions, and we'll jump back on schedule here in a little bit.
We got a super chat saying, love seeing the Atom content. Have you looked at Osmos and the Dex of Cosmos and it is the Dex of Cosmos and is a sleeping giant.
It was what project?
Osmos. I've got that one noted actually on my list of coins.
So we're going to have to cover that one another day. Yeah, that's really interesting.
We're definitely going to get on with
So do you have the names of the people DM?
That one is Terran Crypto.
Terran Crypto. Sweet. All right. Do we have any others?
I think M Andrews 3. He had a really good question that I liked regarding BTC being under the bull market support band. How do you explain alts still pumping? They are pumping way more than during the summer.
Wait, so
he's just asking, even though BTC is under the bull market, he's like, why? Can you explain why altcoins are still pumping and whatnot?
I'll let Kelly answer that, but I think I have an answer. But Kelly, I'll let you.
If you look at the dominance on the Bitcoin dominance chart, as we just went over, the alts have been pumping as the dominance of Bitcoin has been coming down. Yeah. So there's been a shuffling of money as we just spoke about a few minutes ago, where Bitcoin was being a little bit slow, and all this pressure from the selling pressure from China, and then all the things we just mentioned. Mm-hmm. People are reallocating that to other projects because they're taking profits from here and moving it to altcoins. And truth be told, separate from that, I think not enough praise is given to how many incredibly promising and already somewhat established altcoin projects are out there. There's some incredible things happening and develop, and a lot of money pouring into, whether it be DeFi projects on Solana or AVAX or whatever. There's just a lot going on right now with within the market.
Well, I was going to say, because we gotta keep moving on.
We gotta keep moving.
We gotta keep moving on. But what I was going to say was, people also love being bandwagons, and I think there's a massive amount of education coming into the space of crypto. People are learning. People are stupid excited about the fact that they have a hope in economic wealth, because they've been dealing with fiat currency for so long, and now they're seeing a hope. They're seeing these currencies go 10x almost like over a month. Here's the problem. People are bandwagoners. They heard my friend did such and so with his coin, and so they're really tending to get into the coins they see doing well. Bitcoin's been bearish ever since the peak back in early November. Watch Bitcoin begin to have a rise again, and watch people jump on the bandwagon to get back there. It's just a case of Bitcoin started going down a little bit because of liquidations, because of institutions coming in and deciding we want the price to come back down so that we can get in. People got bored. They jumped out and looked for a project that was growing. One more question, then we're going to jump into Ethereum.
Yeah, Eric Little, he said, thoughts on Deeper Network was gifted a deeper miner and didn't know anything about it token. Aside, it's great device for decentralized VPN.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a thought on that one. Kelly, you have any thoughts on that one? Sorry, man. We'll have to up our game in the research of that Deeper Network. I think someone asked about that the other day, so that's something we'll add to our list of learning. But let's go ahead and jump into Ethereum. Let's go ahead and go to my chart, T-Shroom, and look at what's happening here. We're going to be kind of quick with Ethereum. I'm going to treat it almost like a 2-minute technical. We might run 3 or 4 minutes. But the first thing I want to note is that we are in a falling wedge on Ethereum. The thing you do need to know, though, on the 3 daily chart, I do want to start with zooming out. If we go and look at the RSI, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I just want you guys to remember this. Oh, look at this. Actually, it's changed a little bit, so there's actually some better hope for Ethereum. Back the last time we talked about this, we actually had the bottoms of Ethereum was not setting up bullish RSI divergence, but that actually has changed on the 3 daily chart. The 3 daily chart is actually showing now we are setting up bullish RSI divergence. The reason why is because if you compare the 2 dips, both right here on the 27th of December and the 19th of September. Sorry, I think I said September. December. 27th of December and the 19th of September, we're actually seeing a divergence happening, whereas the price is going up, but the RSI is going down. So there is some good hope, I think, that Ethereum might be able to actually become bullish overall on the 3 daily chart. But let's go zoom back into the daily chart. That's kind of looking at it a bigger perspective, meaning multiple months. Let's look at next couple of weeks, what we're seeing with Ethereum. And again, we're in a falling wedge, and I think before we move into anything else with RSI, with MACD, with volume, Bollinger Bands, what I do want to say about the falling wedge is I think that there potentially needs to be one more dip. We could break bullish right now, but I think we need to touch here one more time on resistance, come down and set one more low. We might even stay at the same level if we're rallying, but it's a little early in the wedge, I think, for a bullish break. Doesn't mean it can't happen whatsoever, but I am seeing some low volume right here on our climb, which to me would communicate I think that the bulls are running out of steam, which means they need one more dip down, come down here and touch before we break bullish. Let's look at what we see on the RSI and the MACD. As you guys can see, we were talking about Bitcoin earlier struggling with that 50 line. We rejected off that 50 here a couple days ago. We're coming back up. We are not setting up any bullish or bearish RSI at the moment. So consequently, what do we see over the last couple of days? Weeks, we see a bearish trend. I don't think that bearish trend is quite over for Ethereum. Another reason why I think we're going to reject right here and come back down. If we look at the MACD, there's a little bit of hope there because we are starting to trend back up for bullish cross. But again, I think that cross, we really started moving bullish right here. So you're going to see that blue line came up right at the bottom. I think it's going to kind of hit its head right there and fake us out and then come back down as well. Let's look at what we see on the Bollinger Bands and the TD sequential to see if there's anything of significance there. We rejected off the bottom of the Bollinger Bands. We're heading back up. Look at that. Quite frequently, the 20 SMA ends up becoming a place of resistance, whether it's resistance or support. In this case, we're on the bottom side. So it looks like a perfect kind of accumulation of different reasons why we're going to bounce back down to the downside. As far as TD sequential, we have a green 2, so that's going to give us, anything conclusive about TD, although I guarantee you if we start moving down, we're going to see some a little bit closer to having a green 9 or what we call a red 9 flash. We're going all the way down. Let's look at the 1 hourly chart. Oh, it's bouncing all over the place. 2 hourly chart. Yeah, nothing really consequential at TD sequential. So that's, in this case, TD sequential doesn't really help us that much. But there's 3 reasons to think that Ethereum might need to go down one more time. And you're looking at the daily chart, it is falling wedge. Nothing changing the RSI, meaning We're kind of still in a downtrend. And the last one is that Bollinger Band showing us that potentially right there where the resistance is going to meet that 20 will probably be a place of resistance. Before we move, Kelly, any thoughts about Ethereum? Any reason why you think Ethereum potentially could break bullish right now?
I mean, it's the same thing. I really feel like everything's a bit in a holding pattern. The only thing different, though, is like on this one, it looks very different on Lux Algo than Bitcoin does. This one actually has a buy signal on the 4-hourly. But again, as we know, when we look at when we use this indicator, Lux Algo, you don't just do the buy sell signals.
Yeah.
Because it still has a red trend catcher. It still, everything looks very indecisive still. I think Ethereum's setting up with a little bit of bullish posturing, but as you said, I think it's actually still going to come down, bounce off that support again. It has quite a bit more ways, another 15% or so to go into that descending triangle, descending wedge before I think it would break out. I think going into the end of the week, we might start getting a little bit of action, but I think going into the beginning part of next week, Tuesday-ish, I think we're going to start seeing some fireworks on it.
It's kind of this swing. I guarantee you, if we went down, I'm not going to go down and look at them, but I guarantee you, if we went down and looked at some of these smaller time frames, you're going to see a lot of bullish stuff happening. When you get to this 4-hourly, you're starting to see kind of a mixed bag. So, we do have a buy signal, but again, don't just go off of just because the word says buy. That's not the reason you should read it. This trend catcher is still red. Although we have 2 green candles, we also have some purple ones, meaning indecision. And the more we move up towards the daily chart, so I'm sure, I'm not going to go through all those, but I'm sure it's going to be kind of the same. We definitely are all red, well below the trend catcher being red there. It's kind of a wave. We're kind of bullish at low metrics, get a little bit into the middle ones. It's kind of bearish. I mean, the next couple days, if not a week, might be bearish. But again, when we start to zoom out, as I said, that was the hope I gave you at the very beginning, is that when you zoom out, we're actually setting up some bullish RSI divergence. So in the long run, this is actually, not even showing you the right thing, RSI. In the long run, I think if you can be patient with Ethereum, we are going to see some good days ahead. That's all I have with Ethereum. Let's go ahead and read a couple more super chats before we jump into some discussion things, because I'm sure that we want to talk a little bit more about the hash rate, about institutional buying Bitcoin. You can go off my screen, T-Shroom. Caleb, do you have any other super chats?
Yeah, we got
especially ones about hash rate and Bitcoin and stuff.
Okay, well, yeah, we got one from Jason Clark. Said, historically, when we close beneath the 20 weekly SMA on the BTC, it's not a quick recovery. But do you think this time is different?
Yeah.
Also, thank you guys. I'm here every day. So
daily chart. He said the 20 SMA or EMA?
SMA.
Okay, let me look at the 20. Well, you know what I can do is I can just look at the Bollinger Bands because that gives me that. So you said anytime. He said the weekly.
Yeah, on the weekly chart.
All right. So when we close below it, let's see here. So we closed below.
Yeah, we did.
Back here on the 17th of May, and we stayed there for a couple of weeks before rallying back up. Let's come down. Let's look at another example. We closed right here. Let's see. Actually, we closed right here on the 2nd of March. Went a little bit. Let's see. We closed right here. Had a couple of weeks. He has a great point. I'm trying to see if there's any situation. Overwhelmingly, when we close below, there does seem to be some bearish action. That's not a guarantee, though. Technical analysis, nothing is 100%. We always try to remind people of that. But this is a great observation. What was his name again?
This is Jason Clark.
Jason Clark. I want to look at what we have currently and go back because I don't think this was the first week we closed below it. No, so we closed below it back on the 29th, or so the week of the 29th of November, so the last week of November. And so that means we've been below the 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're going on 6. So that's where I'm kind of getting the boat where you're absolutely right. When we close below it, it kind of shows that we have a couple of weeks of bearish action. That's something I'm definitely, just so you guys know, I'm going to tuck this note into my my bag of tools to read technical analysis. But I also am going to say, hey, we're coming on 6 weeks. We're moving right in the time frame, anywhere between this phase where we are right now. And like, see, here's an example of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, that one's going to be probably closer to like 10.
But there's also
we could be this phase where we're coming back out of it.
There's also a bit of a fractal too, because when you, as we've talked about in recent shows, the sort of the rounding top we had in 28th of December, it started around the January, that basically we still had a super parabolic January into February, March, and then May we had that giant drop, and then we had that massive, like, seemed like a never-ending dip then that was when we were really like, that was like our Wyckoff class session right there, you know, for that whole period. I think the whole crypto market learned about the Wyckoff method in that period. But then, you know, we have the rise that comes out of that, smaller dip. Then we have a rise that comes out of that. This is, you know, October timeframe that came into this dip. Now, if you just look at it in terms of a fractal percentage wise, the width of that rounding top from February 15th to May, and then I think that was about 18 bars or something, and then the same one that we just fell out of was only 7 bars. So in terms of the percentage difference, so if this dip on the 17th of May, and we have this, you know, was it 10 or 11 weeks under the SMA on this one, you know. I think we're coming to the end of it. I think within, I would say, I would put my money on, and I'm trading this way as well, that it will be within 2 weeks that we will be back above the SMA.
And that's what I said. There's several cases where one of them had like 12 weeks. One of them was like 20 weeks. But there are several examples of 6 or 7 weeks of being below. We are going on week 6. And this kind of goes in line with what I was talking about with you guys earlier. You know, looking at Bitcoin, I'm going to show you the Coinbase chart. I don't think, and let me go to the 4 hourly to even show this. I don't think that we are a day away from rallying back up above 53. I think that potentially we actually have a little more to do. One or maybe 2 more touches at the bottom of this trading channel. So I completely agree with this. Great observation. Again, I'm going to be tucking that away in my tool of technical analysis readings. Any other super chats we got? Probably one more, and then we'll jump back to some discussion.
Yeah, one from Carlos C. Can you tell me your opinion on Algo, and what do you see going on within the next 2 weeks?
I don't have a strong opinion on Algo. That's not an altcoin I know a lot, but T Shroom or Kelly, what do you guys think about Algo?
I like Algo. I haven't sold it. It's in the bag that I don't sell at all, though, so I'm a little biased on that. But Algo's a good project. You know what? Kelly, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think that the wallet that El Salvador rolled out for folks to buy and sell Bitcoin and purchase goods and services in El Salvador using Bitcoin, I believe that wallet is built on Algo.
I believe it is too, and if I'm not mistaken, Algorand was developed by what some people classify as the father of cryptography. A guy from he was a professor at MIT, and you know, a lot of different nations have been looking at it as something to build sort of not CBDCs, but a combination of basically government currencies, because it's such a strong blockchain and very secure. And I think it's got a huge future ahead, but it's looking much like almost everything else we're looking at right now, very indecisive. But one thing that's different about this one is it is on the positive side, on the bullish side of the 20 SMA on its daily chart on Coinbase. Yeah. But it's also pressing up against the top side of the Bollinger Bands. So it may be due for a little bit of a correction. But it's something that I hold as well, and I haven't sold it since I bought it. So.
It's a major contender.
Yeah, sweet. Well, let's go and jump into more TA, some 2-minute technicals. The first one we're gonna do is comp, and you're gonna see right off, if you were watching earlier this show, this looks eerily similar to AAVE. And Kelly, do you have a reason why you think those charts probably look similar?
Well, they're both just 2 super strong DeFi lending protocols on the Ethereum network, and so I just think DeFi is getting a lot of attention in the background right now from big money players. Yeah.
So what we see right here, both of them are in falling wedges. There's one difference though, and I'm going to show you guys what it is. So going back to AAVE, look at AAVE, we're seeing at the top, we're actually at a place of resistance, versus comp, we actually have some room to grow. And you're gonna see that actually show up on the RSI. Look at the differences in the RSI. Whereas in AAVE, we were clearly setting up bearish RSI divergence. With comp, we don't have that RSI divergence showing up. We actually still have some room to travel. I wouldn't say there's necessarily a lot of room. Let's see how much price we possibly could get before I think we would probably hit our head. We would probably have about a 17% growth before I think that we're actually gonna be coming back down, resisting. So that's actually potentially a good spot if you were in the position you wanted to invest and trade in that. There's a potential there for a good trade, but again, you're not going to make massive amounts of money off that trade. But the shot is still there. So as I showed you, RSI, we're actually sitting really great. We're struggling around that 50, but I actually expect us to come back up. I would not be surprised for us to actually potentially have this RSI shoot up north of this one right here on November 3rd to set up some bearish RSI divergence to come back down. But the other thing is we don't necessarily have to do that. And this is something I want to keep an eye on actually with comp, because we are sitting in a great spot that potentially we will break bullish out of this falling wedge. We're more than 70% of the way through it. And as you guys know, if you've taken CT2A, 70% is about the place where you're starting to look for breakouts, bullish or bearish, when you're looking at falling wedges, triangles, and whatnot. So this is one I definitely want to keep an eye on. I think that potentially for anyone who's out there saying, is there a trade opportunity? There is a trade opportunity. I would take profit around the 264 mark, because this is what that's, yeah, 264. It's at 221 right now. If you want to leave a little bit in to see if potentially we break out right there, you could. But overall, I think comp looks really good. Let's take a quick look at Bollinger Bands and TD Sequential just to see if there's anything else there. As far as that, it looks like we on the daily chart, even though we have a couple candles below it, we really kind of use that 20 daily SMA as a bouncing point. So again, look at where this Bollinger Band is going. That actually is setting up pretty nicely to kind of confirm that we're probably going to be atop the Bollinger Bands around that level of resistance in the 250 to 260 region. That kind of backs up what I'm saying there. Let's look at the TD Sequential. Is anything special? Nope. We have a green 3, or Jebb likes to call them red 3s. Nowhere close to saying that we have to retest or have to reject. So overall, I'm really liking comp where it's at as opposed to AAVE. So if you're like a person that goes back and forth between those two projects, I think that you're going to see comp out perform AAVE over the next little bit. The last coin we're going to do today, as we're doing our altcoin 2-minute technicals, is, again, as I told you guys, one of my favorites. Let me take down the Bollinger Bands to show you guys what's happening here.
Welcome to Chili's.
Welcome to Chili's. We're in a little bit of a symmetrical triangle pattern at the moment, but we're in a larger time frame in a symmetrical triangle that potentially could be read as a massive bull pennant, depending on what you see. And there's one observation I want to make with you guys. And I know some people are going to say this is biased, so that's why I'm asking T-Shroom to help me out. I'm a massive sports fan. I love watching sports. That's why I love Chili's. I think Chili's is about to be bullish, and here's the reason why. Not only we're at the bottom of the symmetrical triangle pattern, and it's time to rally, look at these dates right here where the last time we rallied really hard.
Whoa.
Back in February of 2021, and we rallied all the way until around March, and that's when we started to move sideways and down. I fully understand that February to March was a massive amount of rallying for altcoins. I get it. I understand this is when the coin got really interesting. A lot of people got invested in it because they saw potential to make money. But another thing that happens during this time frame is European soccer gets really interesting. What championship is it? What competition?
Oh, it's the Champions League, mate.
Champions League. No. That happens. What happens with Chili's is it's a fan token. It's an ability for fans to heavily interact and be a part of their teams. So even though the European soccer has been going on now for a couple of months, it's really starting to heat up, get very interesting, similar to basketball season. I don't know how many of you guys are basketball fans of the NBA. The way I'm a fan of the NBA is I start watching on the back half of the season and into the playoffs, because that's when it really feels like the energy gets turned up. Same thing with European soccer. And those of you who are from Europe, you're welcome. And I've said soccer this whole time, football, you're welcome to correct me. But is this not the time that fans really start to tune in aggressively to their fans? I know Americans really start to tune in to European soccer around this time. That's the reason why I am expecting bullish action. But let's look at a couple other things to see if anything else is happening.
I got a little bit of a note on that as well.
Yeah, you have your thought?
So think about it like this too. It's like adoption is huge for crypto.
Yeah.
And if you watch American sports, you don't see a ton of crypto advertisements. You see it every now and then. But if you ever watch European League soccer, like Premier League or the Champions League or La Liga or Serie A or Bundesliga, there is crypto advertisements all over the place.
Yes.
Even some of the jerseys have crypto on it.
Yes.
So it's really big to watch.
Yeah, there's nothing else really special happening on the daily chart, but one thing I noticed this morning, I was on the hourly chart, and I noticed, you guys can see the volume. Let me go out to the daily chart so I can show you really quickly. And I know this is probably taking more than 2 minutes, but I really like the project, so that's why it's taking so long. You guys can see the volume is really low on the daily charts. Nothing looks crazy, but let's go down to the hourly chart and look at this uptick in volume. What was happening?
Whoa.
What was happening last night that I think has excited a lot of people was there was a game of Chelsea versus Liverpool. Two big English Premier teams playing each other. I think this right here is the evidence of as these big games heat up, not only big teams playing each other, but the competition, the drive to win is increasing. I think you're going to see these fan tokens get a lot more action. As you can see right here, it really didn't result necessarily in too much of a price upheaval. It's kind of like there's a lot of bears and bulls going back and forth, buying and selling. But watch the volume begin to grow again on Chiliz, and watch that price action for multiple reasons end up being bullish. Just so you guys know, and showing you that I am not biased, just trying to tell you guys to get into coin. This is a project I'm getting into, so whether you get into it or not, I'm excited because of its fundamentals and because of what I think the next couple of months are going to hold for it. That's all I got for that.
Well, to your point though, and this isn't just Tim. For those of you that follow one of the biggest voices in crypto right now, Raul Paul, he's actually said it, loudly on many different interviews. One of the biggest projects or niches within the crypto industry that he's been looking at, and he's looking at going into the next 3 years, is Rally and Chiliz, because these are two basically competing tokens for community tokens. Because it's not just going to be football teams. It's going to be, if you actually go to Chiliz, there's going to be a Chiliz token. You go to Subway, instead of having the little stamp card, you're going to have everything is going to be based on the community building. So those coins are going to explode, I think, because it allows people to develop their own private coins on their chain.
All right. Do we have any other super chats, Caleb, before we
Tim
move forward? Yeah, we'll call it Tim Coin. I love it.
Yeah. Striker 2099 said, guys, I mentioned before, but you should really look into Doc. They're doing great things over there.
Doc.
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 He did. He mentioned that the other day. Yeah, we're welcome looking. The other day, I think he mentioned it was a Friday, literally on Friday, because the whole rest of the staff was out. We just came in, produced the show. Did Jebb even? I think he made some social media videos, and then we went home. We celebrated, and then today, same thing. We're gonna
I will
close this out, and we're gonna go home.
I will take my binoculars and look directly into it, and I'll have something to say about it by Thursday.
Yeah. Any other super chats?
Nope, that's it.
That's it? All right, what about chat? Is there anything cool happening in chat? Was there any thoughts that you saw sticking out about hash rate, about Bitcoin, about anything else that you thought was really interesting?
People are making fun of the way that you say soccer. Everybody's saying it's pronounced football.
I know. I corrected myself. I'm very apologetic to all of my European friends. And pretty much, that's not just European. To all of my friends that are not Americans, I am sorry.
In his defense, in the United States, we have the MLS, the Major League Soccer. And, and it's called soccer.
I will say this. American football is my favorite sport in the world. I'm not going to hide that. I am on the side, though, of the argument. Why do we call it football?
Yeah.
A couple times a game, the foot touches the ball. It should be handball or something else. It should be run ball. I don't know. Football, when you're talking about what Americans call soccer, makes a lot more sense to call it football because the foot touches the ball a couple thousand times a game. So I am on your guys' side with that argument. I sometimes slip up and,
We're just so used to
say it like an American.
Soccer,
Yeah.
But
I agree entirely.
A chat-related comment. This isn't something I saw in chat, but I got a notification from Robinhood that they're going to be rolling out their wallets here pretty soon.
Yes,
I'm on the waiting list for that. How do you guys think that opening up wallets will affect on-chain metrics for crypto?
That's a good. I actually want the chat to respond to that. So the fact that on Robinhood you will be able to open up wallets on Bitcoin. Do you trust Robinhood to open up a wallet?
I do. I'm a Robinhood apologist.
I don't know if I can. And what's funny is I've never had a Robinhood. I just had so many friends with horror stories. I've read so many articles where Robinhood is just screwing people over. I don't know if I can trust them yet.
Because of what? What was the asset they were trading?
Freezing their accounts, not letting them get their money out. Man,
really?
Yeah, it was bad. And to be fair, Robinhood's not the only one. There's lots of exchanges that have done that. Yeah. But Robinhood, I just heard horror story after horror story of the way that they were interfacing with their customers. But what I see in chat someone says no trust. I don't know if he's responding to this whatsoever.
The reason why I defend Robinhood is because, look, everybody's going to have issues. They're dealing with multi-million users on their platform. They did get some flack, and I didn't like what they did with the whole GME and AMC when those were popping off. And they didn't let people sell it. They didn't let people sell and or was it the other? They wouldn't let people buy or something like that, and that was kind of messed up.
With which one?
When they had the meme, what
The meme coins, GME.
No, it was
GameStop.
both. It was both. They couldn't buy it when it was low, and then they couldn't sell it when it was at the top.
Yeah.
It was bad.
But the issue there, it wasn't that like, you know, the CEO was sitting there like, how can we screw over our users? What they were having a liquidity crisis. So the company that provides liquidity, which if you stake any crypto coins, you should know that that's what you're doing. You're providing liquidity. The holding company, the clearinghouse, was just not able to provide any liquidity, and so they contacted Robinhood and was like, "Look, like we can't fulfill orders at these prices in the volumes that people are trying to buy it." So it wasn't like they were maniacally sitting there trying to screw over their users. That's not the case. It was just the mechanics of the infrastructure of Robinhood were failing.
The only thing I would say to that then, so maybe you said this and I missed it. Have they upgraded all of that equipment and technology?
It's not something that you can necessarily upgrade.
So what I would say to that, if they haven't fixed it, whether they maliciously kept people or stole money from people and kept people from investing or stole money from people, or it was an accident, it was terrible for those holders.
If you're going to be trading money somewhere,
Yeah.
I would want it to be as robust as it could be and durable and able to take on whatever things that it, whatever volume that it needed. So I wouldn't be in that position.
So-
That's why it's important to pick the coins you use. That's what Bitcoin is. It's durable and it's
Listen, I am willing to give them
exchanges as well.
a chance after I see months of success stories. But the trust has to be earned. It's not just given. Up to this point, Robinhood has not earned trust from users.
It's earned my trust.
Okay, well, good. Well, I want to see your success story and several others, and then I might consider doing it.
So really, I know you guys didn't tune in today to watch a debate about Robinhood, but the final word on it, in terms of the optimistic final word, would be the issue that Robinhood had with GME and how they locked up the trading is the same issue that any platform would have, including TD Ameritrade, including the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. It's just it was an imbalance of liquidity.
Oh, it's even happened on Coinbase.
Yeah.
It's happened on Coinbase, on Binance, on where they'll have to freeze transactions for an hour or two.
They halt trading on the New York Stock Exchange all day. Like if Elon Musk came out and said, "Hey, we just found trillions and trillions and trillions of kilotons of lithium, and we're going to go mine it," and we're going to have exclusive rights to that lithium. Like the stock price of Tesla would just shoot through the roof, right? Or if somebody said we solve nuclear fusion, right, and we just have infinite energy, like whoever figured that out and if they had the patent on that, like it would be an infinite rise to the top of that stock price, and at some point there wouldn't be any sellers. There would be all buyers, and there's no liquidity. That's how that works.
Well, we gotta end this stream. T-Shroom, unfortunately, it does look like you are outvoted in chat. I think overwhelmingly our audience does not agree with you. But again, we wish you the best, T-Shroom. Hope it works out for you and hope it works for others. I mean, I'm not rooting against Robinhood. I hope they fix their issues and that they're, but I just don't. They have to prove it before they get my trust. That's all we have for you guys today. Again, tomorrow, Jebb will be back. This isn't a takeover. This isn't Jebb's gone. Jebb just took a day off, a much needed and much deserved day off. If you enjoyed this video anyway without him, hit that like button. If you have not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to this channel where we aim every single day to help teach people how to think, not what to think. If that's something you are on board with, please join our group, join this channel. That's all I have for you guys. I will see you tomorrow when I sit in my co-host seat. But you guys have a good rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow.